as long as you have people in the mix, you will always have problems, relational problems. And there may be some that you'd like to go whoops upside the head. But we can't do that now, can we? So I want you to hear what God is saying, because sometimes we have a difficult time wondering if God really gets what we're going through. Sometimes we talk to other people and we may rant, rave, complain, fuss, do it as a prayer request, whatever, or even seek counsel. When we go through that, we have to remember that God is very, very much aware of what we're going through. He's right there in the trenches with us. So we're going to go to Isaiah 53, Isaiah 5:3. And I want you to listen to what it says, because God wants you to understand how much He gets us. He understands what we feel and why we feel it. There have been times, let me give you a quick example. There have been times where God had to reveal to me why I would get grumpy during certain times of the month. And those times of the month, I'm not talking the female thing. These times of the month was at the time when I owned my own hair salon. And I would start getting nervous about the finances because I knew that my lease was due. I had to pay my lease on a particular day. And I was never late. I didn't want to be late. I think maybe by one day, but they never had to wait for me to pay my lease. So I'm a stickler about paying my bills. If I don't buy food, my bills get paid. So I make sure of that. And I ask the Lord to help me. But at times, I would still get nervous. So the date would be coming real close, and I would start getting grumpy. And my husband made me aware. God made me aware through my husband. And he asked me one day, he said, I noticed you're a little short with the people on the road, and, you get frustrated with yourself. He said, are you worried about the finances? And it clicked, and I said, oh, my God, yes. And I didn't realize that is what had my temper so short that day. So I noticed later on, as time went on, if it started getting close like that, I would start getting edgy. Things would get on my nerves. Even if I didn't say it, I would feel it. I would feel easily annoyed. And I realized that there was something pressing on my mind. And worry will do that to you. Worry will cause your emotions to fly off the handle. Worry comes from what? Fear. Fear is not of God. God is perfect love, and perfect love casts out fear. But we as human beings still fall into that from time to time. As hard as we try to believe God, as hard as we try to lean on Him and trust Him through everything, we have a difficult time. We have a difficult time when our eyes aren't seeing the math adding up. The money's not there. But we know the due date is. So now we're waiting on a miracle. We're waiting on God to supply. And the closer we get, the edgier we feel. You notice that? Okay. So I just wanted to share, those are times when relationships can have more friction. Either somebody is attacking you, or you're having differences of opinion, or you're getting on each other's nerves. You're either getting on their nerves or they're getting on your nerves. And words are spoken. Attitudes fly through the air. Looks. And it hurts. It either hurts or it makes you angry, or both. So understand that sometimes these things happen because of underlying what they call undercurrents going on in people's lives. And we feel pounced upon. We feel put upon. We feel disrespected, rejected. We feel like, well, wow, I didn't think I deserved all that. I was trying to do something good. Why did I have to get all that in return? So we always go through these things with different people. Some people, it happens with them more often because there's something about them or something about you, and there's a friction there. It's almost like a given. It just happens. Well, I just want you to understand that God knows. And there will be times that you're doing everything as well as you can. You're trying to be God's child. You're trying to represent him with all you can. But somehow stuff still comes against you. You're either falsely accused, or you're misunderstood, or you're disrespected, or you're treated like you're an idiot. Something is like, what is it? Do I have a sign on my forehead? What is it? Well, I want you to hear what God says about your high priest and why he understands as much as he does. And then we're going to read what it feels like to go through that. All right, here we go. We are at Isaiah 5:3, and we are starting at verse 1. Who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of the dry ground. He has no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. I just want to stop there, because the main thing I want you to hear was he was oppressed, verse 7, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. And above that, verse 4, he was born. He has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. See, we don't get how much more he has gone through than we ever did. When you put everything we go through in our lives, and you combine it in one neat little ugly package, and you see what he went through in that last 2 days of his life, all the punishment, all the disrespect, all the belittling, the mocking, the scourging, the spitting, the physical abuse he went through. Can you imagine your back being lacerated by all those whips, all the beatings? The pain he went through is more than we could endure. So know that he is touched with the feelings of your infirmities, my infirmities, our infirmities. He knows what it feels like. He knows what we feel. He's in us. Remember, we have this treasure in earthen vessels. He's in us. We are the temple of God. He's in us. He knows what we feel. Don't think you're going through this alone. Don't think that because people don't understand you, because people don't get you, because people don't respect you, that God doesn't. He's Kadistu holy, and he's loving enough to respect each and every one of our imperfect souls. He loves and respects us and treats us with respect, no matter how people treat us. No, okay. The reason the Lord confirmed these scriptures he gave me with a dream. And in the dream, this family was in terror, unholy terror, because the head of the household, who happened to be a husband and a dad, had everybody fearful. He was just on everybody. He ran the house like a drill sergeant. They were afraid to look to the left, afraid to look to the right. They kept all their movements to a minimal. They kept their words as silent as possible, because no matter what they did, good or bad, they didn't know when they were going to be punished and for what. No matter how hard they tried, he seemed to get angry for any reason. Well, I know when God gives me dreams like that, he's showing me that some of you have to deal with those kind of people in your families. And he didn't show me why the person was like that. He just showed me that some of you have to deal with that. And it feels abusive. It feels oppressive. It's like a heaviness in the household. You don't have that feeling of freedom to just be who you are. You don't have the freedom to joke and laugh and play and romp and be silly, and you don't have that freedom because, either they don't get you, or they're annoyed by it, or they really don't want to be bothered with that side of you. So you find other people to do it with, but when they come around, you tone it down. You just can't be who you really are. That's in a form, whether they mean to do it to you or not. It's inadvertently an oppressive spirit. It's a spirit of heaviness. And you're not allowed to just be you, to be the silly you, the playful you. Because who knows when an argument will come up? Who knows when somebody will be offended by your playfulness, by your just being free, just being you. So it makes it difficult when you have family members, friends, or people around you that you can't avoid being around, but when they're around, you have to avoid you. You have to avoid being you. That's not a good feeling, because you don't want to get hurt physically, mentally, or emotionally. You don't want to be hurt. Okay, I want you to hear what God hears coming from your spirit. Psalms chapter 3, starting at verse 1. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, there is no help for him in God. But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me. There's that song. My glory and the lifter up of mine head. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. I laid me down and slept. I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. This is still coming from that song. That's what that song was written from, this particular chapter and these verses. I will not be afraid of 10,000 of people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for thou hast smitten all my enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessing is upon thy people. Sometimes when you're right in the middle of your blessing, sometimes when your blessing is right at the door with turning the doorknob, opening the door, getting ready to hit you with a floodgate of blessings, it seems like Satan tries to attack you on the left, on the right, above, below, on your blind side, upside the head, from behind. You don't even see it coming. And you're wondering why? Well, one thing you'll see, not only do people find reason to be jealous of you and the goodness of God in your life, but the enemy also. See, the devil will never benefit the way you do walking with the Lord, because Satan is diametrically opposed to God. They can never be friends. They can never be cohorts and running buddies. That's not going to happen. So can you imagine, with Satan being as narcissistic as he is and all the demons that work for him, how they must feel when they see you being blessed of God, how they must feel when they see you having the favor of God, the love of God just showering you. You imagine how the enemy resents that. They will never get that from God. They will never get all the rewards that await you on the other side, and some of the rewards that you will get here in the land of the living. See, not only do people resent it, but the enemy does too. So it's easy for the enemy to pounce on a person who has an attitude towards you, and they can use that person. That's why we have to remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principality. See, the enemy is always working against you. I'm not going to give him that much play to talk about him that much, but just understand that when people come against you, a lot of times it's the enemy. One of our church members years ago talked about a family member who lashed out at her. And afterwards, she's thinking, where did that come from? Because it was out of their character. We know who we're talking about. They'll confirm it after the service. But they asked the person, do you know why you, and they didn't even know why they got so upset. So there are times when that will happen to you from a family member. And the family member or the co-worker or the person in ministry who's working by your side in ministry, they're pouncing on you verbally, attitudinally, whatever, and you're wondering, where did that come from? I'm here, I'm minding my business, I'm trying to help. Where did that come from? Came from the other side, baby. They use that person like a ventriloquist uses the dummy sitting on his lap. The words come from the enemy. The attitude comes from the enemy. And you're thinking, what did I do wrong? And you're trying to figure it out and reason it out. No. Don't waste your time. Just under your breath, silence the enemy. Shut the enemy down. And then see what happens. All right. Now I want you to hear this, because this is where God hears your heart. Hear my voice, O God. We're looking at Psalms 64, starting at verse 1. Make sure that's correct. Hear my voice, O God. In my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and heart is deep. The heart is deep. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. Let me stop right there real quick. Listen to this. Some of you right now are you're up in arms. You're looking to the left, you're looking to the right, you're consulting with YouTube, you're listening to the news, you're pulling your hair out at the root, wondering what are they going to do next? Are they going to take this away? Are they going to take that away? What's going to become of me? And you're worried. You're worried. Why are you worried? I understand. I do. I get it. But sometimes you have to spend more time reading what God says about you before you get on the internet watching what this one is going to do about that and what that party is going to do about them. And before you know it, 1 minute you got good news. The next minute you got bad news. The next minute you got wonderful news. The next minute you find out ain't none of it true. And then you see something else and you're like, oh no. And you find yourself being blown back and forth by every wind of doctrine and slate of men. 1 minute you're on high, the next minute you're low. Why? Because of all that you're taking in. Sometimes you got to step back. Open God's word and say, Lord, talk to me. What's your good news for me? Do you have a warning? Do you have instruction? What do you want me to do? What do you not want me to do? Do you want to settle my nerves and just give me peace and have me trust in you no matter what? Because I'm telling you, Satan will have you chasing your tail. You'll be going bald-headed chasing your tail for fear. Because you're so busy trying to handle everything. You're so busy trying to be ahead of every crisis. And you want to prepare for this and prepare for that. You want to put this fire out, put that fire out. You want to run and grab the fire extinguisher and you want to have it in your lap because you're waiting for the next crisis to arise. You're waiting for the next fire to flare up. You're waiting for the next problem. No. Acknowledge him in all your ways. He will direct your path. If he's not saying anything, relax in that. That means you don't have to do anything. Relax, y'all. Don't be driven. Don't be so easily manipulated. Now, some of you, when you go into situations, you may have a task you have to do or run some errands and your day is full of busyness. And your mindset, you're trying to stay full of faith. You're trying to trust the Lord. But at the same time, you're looking behind every corner, wondering when's the next problem going to rise up? What's wrong now? What's going to go wrong next? Some of you always say things like this. It's always something. Always, you never know what's going to go wrong. I'm so sick and tired of this. And you just go through that whole thing and Satan's like, yeah, buddy, I got something for you. Why? Because you're expecting something to go wrong. Not something to go right. You're expecting something to go wrong. Okay, so when you do that and then things do go wrong, I knew it. You knew what? If you were in the Word, you won't be knowing a thing because you'll be faith in it. You'll be believing God for what He's going to do. No matter what is coming down the pipe, God's got you on the winning side. Okay, let me share this with you. Help me, Lord, because I want to make sure I'm on the right path here. was a time when I went through a season of humiliation and disrespect. And this is for some of you who wonder why people think so little of you. I'm changing channels right now. Same subject. And in this particular church I attended, the disrespect was at an all-time high. There was an A list, there was a B list, and there was a under my foot list. I think that's where I was. And there were a few other people who were highly gifted, highly anointed, they were extremely faithful, dependable. Their lives may have been a little dysfunctional here and there, but they were there. They were serving God. And for some odd reason, there were the powers that be, the inner sanctum, so to speak, had a certain group of people that they totally disrespected. They mocked. They said all kind of funny things, even in their face, and thought they were supposed to laugh right along with the rest of them as they laughed at them. Well, that happened to me as well. And I remember one time we had a choir, and the choir had auditioned for this particular record company so that they could help us form an album. Well, when we went to audition, check this out, because I want you to understand, God knows how this stuff feels. We went to audition. Now, in my mind, let me share this real quick. There were like 3 people in our choir that had the strongest voices. I was not one of them, and I knew it. But they had the strongest voices. One of them in particular should have been on albums. They had that kind of voice. And they had that kind of connection with God where the anointing would be there with the gift. All right, now listen to this. Knowing that, we went to audition. I didn't sing anything. I was singing with the choir. I didn't have a solo, anything like that. But the guy that was listening to us, he was zoning in on different people's voices while the choir was singing. And he told the pastor that the only way he would do the album would be if I, of all people, would sing all the solos. Now, the only reason I'm sharing this is because God brought it to my mind. I don't know if this is going to affect anybody that's listening to me, either in our online church or our extended church on YouTube. But what God, He brought it to my mind, so I feel like I need to share it. So if it helps somebody, hopefully it does. If not, maybe it'll be somebody on YouTube. But in this case, here I was in the choir. We're singing this audition, and the guy who was deciding whether we would be on an album or not told them that he wanted this. He pointed at me, and he said, I want this lady to sing all the solos. Now, here's the case. When we got through, the pastor denied. He said, no, we won't go with that. He said, I have this one, that one, and that one that we plan to sing the solos. And he said, no, I only want her. Now, I already knew they were singing rings around me. So I was even shocked. But here's the way it was handled, which I thought was very tacky, and insensitive. That's a better word to use. It was insensitive. I'm over it. It doesn't hurt me. I'm just sharing it because God brought it to my mind. I forgot all about it. So here I am listening to the pastor as we come back to the church, and he has a meeting with the choir. He says, we will not be singing with that album cover. And everybody was like, why? He said, yes. And they said, yeah, but on one condition, that Pat does all the solos. Now, we know that of all the people, why would he pick Pat? And he just went on, and I'm like, no, he's not doing that. Oh, my God. And he was acting like, of all the people in the choir, what was wrong with him? Was he high? Was he drunk? Why would he pick her of all people? We already knew we had picked sister this one, sister that one, and brother so and so. What was he thinking? Now, here's the case. During the time, I was still extremely sensitive. I hadn't been healed of all my emotional scars. I'm still a work in progress, but there's a lot of emotional scars that God has healed me from, and the root of rejection that he delivered me from. So now I would have been able to handle that in a much different way. But at that time, I was literally bawling my eyes out with my head down. They didn't see it. They didn't recognize it. And I couldn't even lift my head to share it. But I was so choked up, I had to talk extremely slowly. And I shared with them, I understand I'm not the best voice in the choir. I get that. But do you need to humiliate me like this? You know, I couldn't believe that they would do that. And I said, I know you guys don't have much respect for me, but why? Couldn't you have saved all those comments? And, you could have said that behind my back. I'm not that tough. That hurt. So anyway, it was like this dead silence. I guess they didn't expect me to say anything, but that stuff was hurting y'all. I felt like I was being cut up and chewed up and spit out like, ooh, that's trash. Well, who would be crazy to mess with that? So what I want to share with you is people can hurt you so deeply again and again and again. What does God say? As often as they hurt you, 70 times 7, forgive them. Yeah, well, that means that every time they hurt you, you must forgive. And while my head was down, I was praying that God would help me forgive them and would take the hurt out so it wouldn't linger through the night. Because that stuff was hurting, y'all. You talk about daggers. Whoa. So anyway, I just want to share with you that God knows when people are cutting you deeply. But I want to tell you this. God also has the ability to heal. He said it right there in his word. By his stripes, ye are healed. Listen, y'all. There is not one wound, not one emotional scar, not one betrayal, not one lie, not an act of defiance, disrespect, mockery, rejection, humiliation, not one act of rape, of molestation, not one act of shame. No matter what people do to you, God can remove the hurt. God can lift up your head. God can restore your dignity, because your dignity doesn't come from them, doesn't come from their opinion of you, doesn't come from their harsh words attacking you. It comes from God. That's who you go to. When people do you wrong, you go to God, because he will do you right. He will undo the damage that they did. I'm telling you, God will do it every single time. I dealt with that stuff over and over and over and over. And the reason I didn't leave the church is because I wanted God to get the best out of me. He didn't deserve a deserter. He deserves someone who is going to hang in there and stand. And once I've done all to stand, stand. And that's what you must do. Stand. You don't run. You don't run and hide. You stand, because you have the power of God living in you. You don't have to fold. You don't have to bow down and crawl up under a rock and disappear and hide who you are. God made you who you are. You hold your head up. And if you can't hold your head up, you ask God to be the lifter up of your head, because God will strengthen you on the inner man. His love will sustain you. He will keep you. He will keep you from falling. You must trust that God is able. He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or think, according to the power that works in us. God's power is mightier than a demon. God's power is mightier than the devil. God's power is mightier than your shame, than your hurt, than your humiliation, than your feelings of rejection. God's strength is mightier than anything that comes against you. He says, yes, I won't remove you out of the world, but I have overcome the world. That's what Jesus said. And as he overcomes the world and he is in us, so will you. So will I overcome the world. The world includes the church, because not everybody in the church is spirit-filled. Not everybody in the church is saved. Whether they be the pastor, the choir director, the usher, the auxiliary board leader, whatever. Not everybody is saved. And there are times when we are born again, saved, used by God, but we slip in and out of our flesh. And that's where the damage gets done, on those flesh moments. And we have to be careful not to hold grudges. We have to be careful not to see ourselves and add ourselves up through the way somebody else sizes us up and down. No, that's not who you are. You are who God says you are. And his is the only assessment that counts. You hear me? So be encouraged. Let God be the lifter up of your head. Let God be your sustenance, your strength. The power of his might, not yours, not theirs, not anybody's. You are God's child. God bless you. Be encouraged. Know that he is on your side. If God be for you, baby, who can be against you? They don't even matter in the scheme of God's big picture. You hear me? Because whatever God has for you is for you, no matter what they say you can't do, no matter what they say you don't have a right to, no matter what they say, no way, not her, not him, not them. No, that doesn't matter. Because when God says time, everybody will have to witness God putting you in the position nobody ever saw you in, because they thought too little of you, because they didn't see the value that God placed in you. But God not only sees it, he put it there. He knows it. He knows what he put in you. He knows the plans he has for you. Plans to bless you and not harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Hold your head up high. God is for you. Introducing Dare to Unfold End Times Prophecy by Dr. Patricia Love.